Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers! Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves on the cusp of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, even courting a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus. Boba Fett! Boba Fett!
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett!
Boba Fett.
Boba Fett!
Boba Fett.
All right, folks. So clearly there's something on our minds. We're not even going to beat around. Dragon, were you expecting Boba Fett in this episode? I wasn't expecting Boba Fett in this episode. Dragon, you know me. I am one of I'm one of those people where it's like, oh, is Boba Fett really that cool? He's just a cool design. What does he have underneath that armor? Holy shit, this episode showed us, and it was awesome. Dragon, this is my favorite Boba Fett anything in any Star Wars media, bar none. I fucking love this episode.
Well, I mean, the only contender for you would be that one Clone Wars episode I showed you when he gets revenge.
Well, true. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen a lot of other Star Wars media, but live action, easily.
No, you're right. Yeah, sure, yeah.
I mean, this just, oh my god. I mean, Boba Fett was cool in the original trilogy. He was a great design. But, let's face it. We all know he goes out like a wimp, and he doesn't have much screen time. And so, oh man, I am geeking out, Dragon. I have seen the light. I am Team Boba. So good.
Yeah, you're Dragon, all about the Fett man.
I want to point out, Dragon, did you notice the clever little thing that Disney Plus did with the thumbnail to kind of subvert the fact that this was going to be a Boba Fett episode?
Well, do you mean like the little banner thing, or do you?
Yeah, the little banner image.
Well,
yeah,
the banner this week, I think it was Grief Karga, right?
No, it was Cara Dune.
Oh, but here's the weird thing. Now it's Grief Karga, but yeah,
really?
At one point, I think you're right. It was Cara
Dune. No, I'm not talking the banner image. I'm sorry, I'm not talking the banner image. I'm talking the image that pops up when you click on the episode to watch it.
Oh, so you mean literally the thumbnail? Okay.
Yes.
You're right about that. Was Cara Dune, yeah.
And I thought that was super clever, Dragon. This is one of the reasons I love this episode so much. Is that throughout the first 5 episodes, we've been in a pattern, like Mando needs a piece of information. He has to do something to get that information. Then he goes to another location, and then he has a stopover. And Dragon, oh my god, this episode just totally breezed past that formula. And I think it's honestly like, I wouldn't be surprised if they intentionally set us up to get into a false sense of like, all right, we know what's going to happen. He's going to go to Cara Dune. We have to have a stopover before we get to the Jedi Temple. And no, we're at the Jedi Temple, and that's cool enough. Like, it's cool enough that we're already just like, okay, we're not beating around the bush. We're not having any more side missions. We're here. We're at the temple. But, oh my god, when the Slave One shows up, Dragon, oh, fuck. So cool. So cool. I am just genuinely, like, this show has kind of, like, turned on my love of Star Wars more than it's ever been, honestly.
Okay, so a few things. One, I hope people at this juncture, going into chapter 14, the tragedy, or episode 6 for season 2, they're going to know there are going to be spoilers here, so we haven't ruined the experience for anyone. Smart. I think it's a smart assumption to make that they know what's going on here. Speaking of we have people in the comments.
Yeah, Luke talks about movies, aka Nigel Channing, and then Space Mountain. How you doing, guys? Happy to have you. Oh man. Dragon, I'm sorry. I honestly feel kind of like I just shamelessly want to just nerd out about this episode for like 20 minutes. Just like I just want to go into like remember that and remember that? Wasn't that cool?
Well, a few things to get in there as we continue with the love fest here. Just okay, so yes, absolutely. Of course, I think episode 6 and Mando, kind of this season, last season, they're kind of like the cool, kind of real big standout episodes to a degree. And I'm not knocking like the Mudhorn thing from season 1 by any stretch. I'm saying, of course, you had like the big team up, like the whole heist thing with the episode 6 of last season, right?
The whole, sure.
The prison, which of course we kind of link back to that at the end of this.
We do.
We'll get a little Bill Burr in the future, which is really cool. So I mean, in that sense,
So
kind of
Bill
echoes
Burr
that.
showed up on this show twice in 16 episodes. Where is he in Better Call Saul?
And that they're saving for the last one, man. They gotta. If he doesn't show up in that last season, then
Oh,
the state
that'd
of the
be a
world,
crime, man. That'd be a crime.
the state of the world is won.
All right. Anyways,
But no, seriously though, this episode simply marvelous. I think Robert Rodriguez. Here's the thing, I watched this episode not knowing he directed until the
that's the
very
funny
end.
thing, Dragon. I completely forgot it was the Rodriguez episode. I was just in the moment as a Star Wars fan, and I mean that's cool. I think that absolutely like kind of speaks to the quality of it. But when you break down the Rodriguez, you do see it because this episode
Yeah,
is a lot of action. Um, and you know what? Normally, I'm kind of like, you know me, Dragon, like to a certain extent, when a show is like all action, I have that little thing I do where it's like, and they fight, 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 fight. And this episode is essentially that. This episode is essentially, and they fight, 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 fight. But it's done so well and it's directed so well. And obviously, Rodriguez does action. Like, that's his calling card. So,
I mean, I guess to give you one of many examples, I mean, Alita Battle Angel. I mean, fantastic film, of course. I mean, Rodriguez, he's got a
Sin
flip for it.
City.
I know Sin City, Alita. I mean, again, the man's got talent for especially for sci-fi as well. I mean, again, just going with like the Alita per se, but
Sure, sure.
yes, but that's the thing. So, I mean, I kind of went into this. I mean, I had a suspicion that Rodriguez either did this one or the finale. I didn't know which one. So, I mean, this episode, I was kind of getting the sense. I mean, this episode's too cool not to be Robert Rodriguez.
Right.
I mean, it's got to be. My favorite scene in the episode felt so Robert Rodriguez-esque. It's like, yes, we'll get there. But yeah, this basically, I love that we start off, it's going to be very unsuspecting. It's a straightforward premise. We go to, a Tython, we put the kid on the rock. We put the kid on the rock. It's our episode. They have
Dragon, I got to admit, out of all the stuff that they teased in last episode, the whole like, all right, is that really going to be cool? Just having him go to a temple and sitting Baby Yoda on a rock, like, what's that really going to lead to, Dragon?
I mean, again, I think basically the biggest thing we were expecting, not expecting this, because again, remember there was a little fear this season of, well, we got teased Boba Fett, not exactly.
Oh, I was absolutely in the train of like they are absolutely going to do the one tease of Boba Fett, and we're never going to see him again the whole season.
Yeah, exactly.
I was totally there. That's absolutely what I thought was going to happen.
Or, I mean, the most I thought we were going to get, in all honesty, was
maybe like another scene at the end or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like at the very end, just to echo that he's going to have a bigger part in season 3, which again they've kind of teased up. But this definitely gives you hope for that. I mean, my God.
The funny thing is, I thought that Boba Fett was going to be like everyone kind of assumed he was going to be an antagonist for the show, right?
Yeah,
I could see him being a father figure.
Well, the really interesting thing about Boba Fett here, which again I love with his whole story, I think we handled Boba Fett so perfectly in this episode. Again, I think the best thing we did was we kind of confirmed something, and I'm talking to a friend who's a really huge Star Wars fan, and he's he's kind of pointed out that basically this show is kind of flying in the face of some of the early things Disney said it was going to do with Star Wars, and it's kind of put basically long story short, without getting the whole Politico of it all, is that Dave Filoni is we're putting Dave Filoni's bid into kind of head in Star Wars with the show, especially this season.
Is it really a question at this point?
I'm just saying it shouldn't be a question. It should just be like we should give the man's doing right by Star Wars.
Either him or Favreau.
But I'm saying, Tiki, apparently, and I know all about this. Apparently, there are many things Mandalorian has done. Boba Fett being the biggest example, the most notable example of them. At one point, Disney said Boba Fett was dead and buried. Well, we all knew that couldn't possibly be the case because, again, it's always been the assumption is he gets out of the Sarlacc. He's Boba Fett, it's fine. But not just having confirmed it, but doing stuff with him further. So this is really kind of big stuff. And again, it's Mando's going in the face of, you know what, we love the fans.
And that's why I'm geeking out about it so much. It's like, we could see all the animated side spin-off stuff with Boba Fett that we want. That's cool. But to actually have post Return of the Jedi Boba Fett content is it's so unbelievably geek out worthy to me.
Exactly, and I'm not saying
it's the best kind of fan service.
Absolutely. Look, I'm not saying that everything George Lucas had done was the gospel. Let's be honest, but I will
Well, no,
say,
Dragon, he did do the sand scene after all.
but you know what? I will say this: it is kind of telling that of all the shows, George Lucas does. He only stops by Mando. He doesn't stop by any of the other Star Wars productions these days for good reason. But again, he loves going to the Mandalorian stuff like that. He was either on set during. Oh, he's on set during the Ahsoka episode. He's on set during that one.
Oh,
So yeah, it's just it's kind of telling, and we're doing right by kind of like Star Wars in its purest sense with the show as it continues. And again, Boba Fett, as it was getting going on about here, is I love that with your father son point. Again, the whole Jango Fett Boba Fett thing. We're kind of doing that.
exactly,
We're kind of
exactly.
doing like
Yeah.
it's like Filoni's Duel of the Fates point, where it looks like we're kind of paralleling the father son thing with Mando and Baby Yoda with Jango and Boba here, in a sense, which really kind of touched me. This whole idea of like, it was my father's arm. We've officially said in Star Wars that he's wearing the armor. He probably replaced the helmet. If I'm just again, Dave Filoni hadn't been involved in Clone Wars. And everything.
I mean, he would replace the helmet if anything else, just to avoid the trauma that came with that helmet.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So smartly again, like remember, he used that basically for those who may not have seen it. Basically, there's this really cool thing where he probably used that helmet to try to get us. He basically tried to blow up Mace Windu with like explosives in the helmet. So we never saw the helmet again.
Yeah.
But again, he wouldn't want to wear that thing given what's happened to it.
All
so.
right. Really quick, Dragon, I want to point out a couple things from Luke.
Yeah.
Everyone is expecting Ezra, Luke, or Cal, but I feel like this was a nice diversion. Absolutely. Dragon, I will say, if they pulled out another, like, I'm totally expecting to see Ezra, or Cal. I don't even know who Cal is.
Okay,
Who's
if I'm
Cal,
right,
Dragon?
I want to say Cal is the Cameron Monaghan Jedi from that Fallen Order game, I believe.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah.
It's either that, he's the Freddie Prinze Jr. Jedi from Rebels, which again I'm a little fuzzy on Rebels, but I don't think that's the case. I think he's like the Cameron Monaghan one. Keep going.
I'm fully expecting Ezra to show up, but I honestly thought it would have been a little bit boring if we had two Clone Wars characters, or Ezra's Rebels, right?
Yeah, Ezra's Rebels, big time.
Okay, well, if we had two like animated series characters show up in back-to-back episodes, to me that would have almost taken away the cool factor of seeing them in live action. Just like, okay, they're doing it like over and over, you know. So I'm glad they're saving Ezra. And yeah, Boba Fett was just no one was expecting Boba Fett. No one. Like I think most people were in the assumption that if he was going to come back at all, it was going to be in the finale, most likely a cameo at the end.
Right. Okay. So Luke goes on to say, "Yeah, he's from Fallen Order." So,
Okay.
and
Anyway, and then he says this episode was better than all of the Rise of Skywalker. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. I mean, again,
No
basically, there's really one really great scene in Rise of Skywalker. It's Luke's scene in that movie when we raised the
right.
Yeah, it's the best scene in that movie.
Sure.
Anyway, everything else is anyway.
But Dragon, the Black Troopers, they fly now.
Yeah, it was a big catch, by the way. They're the Dark Troopers, and I gotta tell you, man, seeing them in action, the Dark Troopers are so effing awesome.
Wait, is Mace alive?
So yeah,
Mace Windu's alive?
Well,
Really?
remember, I showed you that whole Vader. I mean, look, again, you can't really give Disney any credit these days for like what they say has or has not happened at the moment. But again, it was always assumed in an expanded universe stuff that Mace is alive, and I showed you that fan film.
This is news to me. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I showed you that Vader fan film where again, like,
but that's a fan film, though.
I know. I'm just saying, it's all the presumption that Windu's always alive because we never saw the body drop.
Okay, fair. Wow, that's interesting. I feel
I'm just saying that many people are speculating who the Jedi in question is going to be, and there is again like an aged Mace Windu, given the age Sam Jackson is possible, and that
would be cool.
We're supposed to get that Nick Fury show, so Sam Jackson is going to be in the Disney.
A fucking Nick Fury show.
I don't know when. I'm just saying they announced it a while back.
I'm just saying, out of all, let's go through phase 4 of the MCU shows before we start talking about a Nick Fury show. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Look, I just want Falcon Winter Soldier, then we'll cover the rest as it comes. That's all I want right now. But the point being, the speculation as to the Jedi's, I think the smart money right now is at the end of the season, in place of the Boba Fett reveal we were possibly expecting, will be probably Ezra or the other Jedi basically showing up at the end of the season to tease up, okay, they're going to be going after Mando to help out and find
If
Baby
it's
Yoda.
Luke, I'm going to lose my shit.
Again, I'm Sebastian Stan, man. If we can get young Sebastian Stan Luke, that'd be amazing. But no, seriously though, it's yeah, I think Ezra's the safe bet. But yeah, another Jedi would completely gobsmack anyone, whether it's Mace, whether it's a young Luke, who knows? Could be amazing. But yeah, let's see. Again, a lot to cover here, folks. We're gonna try to. Let's see.
Not really. It's just, and they fight.
Well, again, also we should.
The episode, Dragon.
Well, we had Fennec came back. I love how Boba Fett's return. It was nice to see the plan completely come together. Remember, episode 5 had that big speculative thing where who are the boots at the end of the episode? And my God, we made it, man. It was what everyone thought it was. It was, and we actually did stuff with that Fennec character this time, played by the wonderful Ming-Na Wen.
Yeah, she was wasted last season, I thought.
But again, I love they had a plan, though, it seems.
Totally,
Favreau knew the baby's name, so presumably he also knew this, too, given, the Boba Fett.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the interesting thing about this show, Dragon, is that, on surface level, season 1 felt very episodic. But, yeah, no, it's they are tying a lot of things together. Bill Burr. Whoever thought we'd see Bill Burr come back?
And again, we kept him alive at the end of that prison, and now the irony is Amanda's going to need to break into probably either that prison or some prison to get him next episode. So, yeah. Again, think about it. It makes sense because he was all braggadocious about hey, I was an Imperial, not a shock. It was he was an Imperial sharpshooter. Therefore, hey, Imperial, we need Imperial links right now. I know that guy, so let's go. Of course, let me tell you. So the episode's called "The Tragedy," and I think at the end of the day, we know Baby Yoda's going to be okay. But here's the real tragedy. Okay, this is the moment that had me no,
yeah.
The Razor Crest. Oh my God!
I still haven't fully processed it, Dragon. I still haven't fully processed it.
It's not just destroyed. Okay, it's
the
gone.
Razor Crest has been on a journey this season, Dragon.
We just wanted to see that the ship was fixed. We had the triumphant return 2 episodes ago. It was fine, and now it's ash. It's it was all but the two. I love the biblical nature of it. Everything but that spear, and then most importantly, the little knob survived.
Right.
I'm so happy the little knob survived. Ever since the first season, I've loved the significance of that little knob.
All right, so Dragon, oh God. First of all, I love this. The fact that the Emperor besides the handcuffs is so useful.
True. Very true.
And Nathan, also we have Atomic Beast in the comments. Hey there, Atomic Beast. Nice to see you. Let's see. Dragon, what do you think of this? This is an interesting kind of moral dilemma here.
A little skeptical of how many stormtroopers are murdered after seeing characters like Finn who have actual feelings. And okay, now to be fair, that's 30 years. Sorry, I'm just doing math right now. 24 years after the 25 years. Sorry, it's 5 years. I keep thinking Better Call Saul time, which is 6 years. Anyway, it's 25 years later, and that was a big historic moment where the stormtroopers actually kind of broke away. And also, there's always that question. I think at this point, the logic is we're recruiting the average Joe to be a stormtrooper. So yes, it's possible, and we've given them some stormtroopers personality, the very close to. We had Gary the Stormtrooper in quotes at the end of last season, antagonized and basically played by the guy who was Tony Stark's fan named Gary. So I'm connecting with fun dots with Gary the Stormtrooper. Anyway, no, the point being, we've given him personality, but still, they're solid. They punched Baby Yoda. They're still kind of inhuman. They're going after because of the whole punching Baby Yoda thing. We've earned credence. Stormtroopers. These are still the guys who signed up to work under warlords. So they're still pretty bad dudes.
Right.
We haven't gotten to the enlightened. Basically, I remember these guys aren't raised like Finn. Finn was raised in, essentially he was abducted as a kid.
Finn would have been abducted he would have been abducted around the same time that this is going on, concurrently.
Yeah, I mean maybe I think a few more years later, but yeah, I don't know how old do you think Boyega is roughly?
Oh, he's probably, Jesus Christ, he's probably younger than me, which is...
I'm saying at least maybe 5 or 10 years later beyond this. That's probably when that happened. But you see what I mean. Again, the First Order hasn't truly been... I think ultimately what we may be building to is once the Empire is kind of officially gone, it then morphs into First Order, would be my guess. So,
Dragon, that is absolutely... I think this whole series, one of the big points of it is filling in the gaps of the First Order stuff, and that's absolutely the biggest flaw with the sequels for me is how the First Order just kind of appeared out of nowhere with no explanation. So again, kind of geeking out about it a little bit.
So it's an interesting idea, though. Again, ultimately, that might be where we're going with our Empire story here. Is again, our guys are trying to maintain the old order, and maybe ultimately they need to look forward, which again is looking forward to more horrific stuff. Possible. Okay, let's see it. Let's see. Also, I mean, Boba Fett, even though he's not in the full, like the full classic look, I mean, still with the whole black robe and everything, even with the armor. Oh my God, when he dons the armor, I mean, he looks so much cooler than Cobb Vanth, doesn't he?
Yeah, of course.
Because you know why? Because it's the man. It's actually the man inside. I mean, also Tamara Morrison. My God. I mean, I love how the aged Morrison here. He does sound like classic Boba Fett. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Like, well, what if he doesn't survive? So we've kind of gotten a little bit of that within the performance. So it's kind of a wonderful mixing of things. So it's like the perfect middle ground. He's did the rocket thing, which we already got.
I just absolutely love that. As soon as he steps out of the ship, you don't need to see the armor. He carries himself as Boba Fett.
He does.
Boba Fett.
And again, I love like the whole he's got the creed. He doesn't work. He doesn't work with the Mandalorian code or anything because again, he's his own man. He's his own boss, and I love that. So the point being, we checked all the boxes there perfectly. Now let me talk about my favorite scene. Before we get out of here.
All right, a couple more.
Yeah, sure.
Here,
go on.
Well, just one that really catches my eye here. If Moff Gideon turns out to be the founder of the First Order, I will lose it. And honestly, Luke, I have a feeling that's where we're headed. I have a feeling that's where we're headed. Interesting. Imagine if stormtroopers are good guys in the sequel trilogy. Well, isn't that kind of the case, Atomic Beast? Isn't that like we already had like Finn? I don't know. Can you clarify what you mean by that, Atomic Beast? And then Atomic Beast says, "Wait a minute! In Clone Wars, Boba blows up Jango's helmet. How'd he get it back?" We already speculated, Atomic Beast, that maybe it's like the armor itself is like Jango's armor, but the helmet he replaced. That's possible. Yeah. Right. Also, hey there, Jacob. Nice to see you. Thank you for the great thumbnail as always. Jacob is our thumbnail guy. Everybody, I never give him enough credit for that. All right. Anyways, let's see. What else do we need to hit?
Yeah, we got to talk about my favorite scene. The last scene of the episode is my favorite scene.
Go for it.
As wonderful as Boba Fett is, and I love all those scenes. It's great. We nailed it, and of course now we're on the path to kind of we're building a team, building a new crew to save Baby Yoda. But of course, it's about what we're saving Baby Yoda from. So, Moff Gideon finally has little Grogu.
Oh God!
And my God, Giancarlo. This is my favorite Moff Gideon scene of the season so far, of the series so far. I mean, this is so good. I just love. Giancarlo is the man, and this is a nod to.
I keep saying it, but Giancarlo Esposito is having the career that we thought Bryan Cranston was going to have, and I still love Bryan Cranston. It's a matter of picking the right roles, I think.
Cranston's got a new show coming up, actually.
Okay, cool. We'll give it a shot. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah. So of course, a little signature of Rodriguez is in this scene here, where again, Rodriguez thinks through some of the best parts of his career, some of the early parts of his career. I mean, maybe a little bit of Aelita too, with oh God, darn it, blanking on that. Christoph Waltz. Sorry, Christoph Waltz. Yes. I love, it's basically he's pairing these great actors against children, which we're kind of doing in puppet form here. Again, kind of like kind of the Spy Kids movies to a degree in the early days. We kind of have that signature here where we have such a great performance between Giancarlo and the child, where I just love this scene. It makes so much sense. It just plays so well. Where Gideon is a smart guy, as Giancarlo does with many of his characters. Is he walks in there with a couple stormtroopers behind him, and we walk into this room where Baby Yoda, again, who's a 50-year trained Jedi, again, he's got some spring in his step. He's throwing around these stormtroopers, using the Force. He's like choking a few of them. He's just throwing them around the room. And Gideon, no, don't shoot him, don't shoot him. He wants to, because he knows he's going to tire himself out. And he's just so joyous and gleeful about this. But again, he's just so cocky and just almost fatherly in a sense, where he says, "Oh, but you're going to, all that makes you so sleepy, doesn't it?"
right.
And then he shows off the Darksaber and so dry out with that right now. And then, of course, he basically gives him like the nod, like, the stun on me, which basically, okay, make go sleep, right? But that's what I'm saying. I love how in control he is in that moment and just relishing in it. It's like, yes, this is why Gideon rocks, man. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
absolutely.
This is great. Okay, we got some spec in the comments here. Let's see what we
got. Yeah, sure. Let's see. So, first of all, Atomic Beast, you're saying, I mean, I just want to clarify this, that we have the First Order as a whole as good guys and help the Republic, like how the clone troopers serve the old Republic. I mean, yeah, that would have been interesting. That definitely would have been interesting, to see the stormtroopers, like, because obviously in this series there's still stormtroopers, but it'd be interesting to see like a slow progression of stormtroopers turning good. Which, I mean, I think if we have another trilogy after the sequel trilogy, if that ever happens, then that might be kind of the projection we're going in. But okay, so let's see. Luke talks about movies, says when Boba discovers that the Empire is back, I felt it was really reminiscent of the Ministry discover that Voldemort is back in Order of the Phoenix. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Luke, I see it. I see it.
This
yeah.
isn't a spy stream.
Dragon's not a Harry Potter person, but I am a former Harry Potter person. I love the books, but anyways. But yes, Luke, I absolutely get that for sure. Let's see. Could it be possible that Gideon plans to turn Grogu into a Sith Inquisitor, since Gideon, as an ISB agent, would know about the process in turning Jedi? I think that is possible. I do. I've actually seen fan art of evil Grogu, believe it or not, Dragon. So I think the idea is definitely out there, Atomic Beast. I think I don't know I don't know how likely it is, but it's definitely, people have speculated about that. Campia actually shared a piece of fan art on his Twitter that was that subject.
I think the main evidence that gives credence to that, or essentially, Gideon having a plan to turn Baby Yoda beyond just the whole science experiment role, is that dark saber. Why on earth would he show him the dark saber?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But again, I mean, you could write off as, okay, he's a baby, he's having fun with the baby, which essentially is how it plays. That's fine. That's fine. But beyond that, it could be like him implying that one day I might give you the Darksaber, or a version of a Darksaber, give the kid a lightsaber, see how he fares, perhaps. Which again gives credence to, again, you want that kid under your control. Or basically, I mean, I'm speculating, spitballing right now. Perhaps again, it seems like Gideon just with the Dark Troopers themselves. Oh my God, the Dark Troopers. Again, it's like kind of a mechanization between man and stormtrooper, which could also apply to perhaps a Jedi. Like imagine what was the problem with the Sith, as well as kind of like the like basically the Emperor's problem with Vader and such, where mechanized but not under his control. Imagine basically making a Lobot version of something under your control, something it kind of does by your say-so practically. I know Lobot's not exactly like a slave to Lando or anything, but I'm just saying, imagine if you melded man and machine to follow your orders.
Sure.
Where again you'd have all the power of a Jedi, but again under your control. I'm just spitballing here, but
I can see that. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Anything else we need to address, Dragon?
Luke goes on to say. He says that Grogu is his donor. So I believe that he'll use Grogu's blood to turn his dark troopers into force-sensitive androids. That's an interesting idea. Again, the whole blending of man and machine thing.
I like that, Luke. I like that idea. Ooh, man, I didn't even think about that, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the whole idea of like using raptors in military combat done right.
Yeah. Very interesting.
Let's see. Anything else?
I think, the only other speculatory thing, again, is that perhaps some people will speculate, again, filling the gaps between the trilogy and this, is that, the whole, we saw like something in a test tube some people think might have been Snoke, might have been like an Emperor. Point being, we might be trying to fill a blank with the whole cloning thing, perhaps, which basically we're trying to create a force-sensitive being, it seems, at the very least, which again could be the whole Dark Troopers thing, but again,
we're gonna take Charlie from Lost's line, Dragon.
an army of Atomic Beast says an army of Tar Vizslas, which essentially that's the whole the dark saber idea, the whole like the guy who originally wielded it being the whole Vizsla line, the whole Mando Jedi blend idea. So Possibly, entirely possible. Again, Vizsla will come back because we set him up with Favreau last season, so Vizsla's got to come back at some point. You'd imagine.
Mm.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well,
All right, so yeah.
About it, Dragon. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts again. I'm absolutely blown away by this episode. Oh, before I go, Dave Klein, Kevin Smith's guy, Kevin Smith's guy was the DP on this episode.
Oh, nice.
Which is really, really nice. A major win for him, I'm sure. Just again, like, oh my god, we have Dave Klein went from shooting.
No disrespect to Kevin Smith, but that's a big step up.
It is, but again, I love just talking about Star Wars to being in Star Wars. That's awesome. So yeah, but absolutely, this episode, I think possibly the best one yet. Definitely the best one of this season. Bear in mind, this season just keeps getting better and better. So it's been just the gift that keeps on giving. So I want to say this is the favorite, but 8 is probably going to impress like last season.
Dragon, it's hard. This season is absolutely just like every episode is the best episode, practically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean, outside of episode 2, and episode 2 was still really good.
Yeah.
So, all right. Final thoughts on my end. Yeah, I thought this was just fan service done right. I was never expecting to see this much Boba Fett this early into the season. And I love that, like, the last 2 episodes of the season are absolutely not going to be episodic whatsoever. We got a goal. We need to get that child back. Hell yeah, I'm stoked. Dragon, I don't think I've ever been more excited for a new episode of Mando.
Really?
I don't think so. I just because everything like all the chips are in place. We're gonna have like a Dirty Dozen scenario, Dragon. Imagine Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Mando, Cara Dune,
Mayfield.
Yeah. And then just all these people. I'm assuming that God, I'm blanking on these names. I'm sorry. The Marshal.
Cobb Vanth, yeah.
Cobb Vanth, yeah. Oh god, it's gonna be so cool.
Probably, I don't know why, but maybe the Frog Lady. Who knows?
The Frog Lady? Oh my god, that would be amazing.
but yeah, I echo Luke's sentence. Can't wait for Mayfield to come back. We always need a little more Bill Burr in our lives. I feel, in honesty. Plus, he has a third mechanical arm, which is awesome. So let's get more of that.
Atomic Beast, I absolutely do think they are building a Star Wars TV universe, and let's hope it's better than the Arrowverse.
Yeah, well, again, to be fair, they call the CW verse the Arrowverse. Doesn't mean they're all like Arrow.
Well, no, I know that, Dragon, but still, I just from everything I know, it's like the first 2 seasons of all of those shows are great, and then
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, that's pretty. All right, yeah. So I was hopeful. And, oh yeah, he's right. It's only the first 2 seasons.
Mando gives Frog Lady a gun. Fuck yeah! Oh god, I love the idea of Frog Lady having a kick-ass moment that totally justifies episode.
Well, we kind of teased that with the whole she saved the baby with the
I mean, could you imagine if Frog Lady has the standout moment of the finale, and everyone's just like, "Oh my god, episode 2!"
I've heard people kind of say they really want back, and I kind of support it, but I don't exactly know how he'd come back. The guy in the sweater from Trask, I think it was from Trask. The Mon Calamari guy in the sweater who fixed the Razor Crest very poorly.
Oh yeah, right. Oh god,
I really want him to come back, which would be funny. Of course. I mean, oh my god, the biggest one. Oh my god, have we not brought this? Bo-Katan, man.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm all for Bo-Katan.
I don't know how we pass that up, Draken.
Anyway, so the point being, obviously the Dirty Dozen thing would be awesome. It's possible.
It's happening. It's happening.
Presumably, 7's going to be the building of the team, hence the whole Mayfield breakup. Then 8's going to be the big rescue episode, which could be really fascinating. And it's going to come down to Mando versus Gideon with the Beskar spear.
Oh fuck yes! Oh my god! I just had a nerdgasm over that.
Okay, the only issue I have with this episode, I'm sure it's only because they shot so much they didn't have enough time to show it. So I'm sure it's fine. I'm just saying, I gotta watch that Cara Dune scene again, I guess, because I bothered me we didn't see him put the jetpack back on. I want to make sure because man has lost so much. I want him to have as much as he needs.
All right. Okay. So yeah, all right. Let's get out of here. Thank you. Let's go through the roll call. Thanks to Jacob Weil. Luke Talks About Movies. Atomic Beast. And Space Mountain popped in for a bit, too. So yeah, big thanks to you guys for joining us. Awesome episode. Can't wait for next week. All right. Well, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mono e mono. Just Plus and Us. Boba Fett? Boba Fett, where?
Makes you sleepy, doesn't it?